Welcome to the Station Wagon. I'm the older brother, Mark.
And I'm little sister, Julie. This is the podcast where my brother and I give up something we take for granted and tell you how it goes.
Buckle up and enjoy the ride.
Hi everyone, in this episode of the Station Wagon, we're going to be giving up going outside.
Yep, for 2 weeks we will be locked indoors. Thanks to Noakin for the great idea. If you have ideas of things we might be taking for granted, please email your topic suggestions to wagonpodcast@gmail.com. Shout out to us on Twitter, we're at WagonPod, or connect with us on Facebook.
You know, and now people can go to our new website, wagonpod.com.
Oh yeah!
It's been all pimped out. Fancified. And thanks, Noah. You did say that we would be locked indoors. That's not quite accurate, Julie. Do you mind if I define what going outside means before my head sort of explodes here?
Yes,
because
Mark.
I am not getting locked indoors.
Okay, what is the great outdoors?
According to Merriam-Webster Online, and the reference is in the podcast notes, okay?
As always.
Because we are a class act. Outside is a place or region beyond an enclosure or boundary.
Okay.
It's the exterior of something. But based on that definition, that could mean that we won't go outside a particular fence.
Or like outside of my own head.
Or outside of the box.
Right.
Or we won't leave the state of Washington. So we actually need to kind of redefine or add some amendments to that definition, Julie.
Okay.
For us, it is a place or region beyond an enclosure or boundary, an exterior of something, and outside is also not inside of our houses, offices, or other locations where we need to transact business, or our cars or buses or any vehicles that we're in. So we're okay with that stuff too.
Okay, thank you for defining that so specifically.
Oh my gosh. Well, you know what? I don't want you going back on this deal like you've done in the past.
Wrong. Okay,
all right, so now that we have it defined, can I ask you some very difficult quiz questions?
Oh, yeah.
When was the first known use of the word outside?
I'm guessing Shakespeare.
Okay, I didn't say who wrote it. Pay attention. I know you have problems with these. I did preempt it by saying they were difficult. When was the first known use of the word outside?
1650.
1502. That was really close.
Okay.
Number 2. Who were some of the superstars of going outside and getting the U.S. population into outdoor and wilderness recreation? If you can name one of these, that'll make me happy.
Michelle Obama.
No.
Phineas and Ferb.
I don't know who they are.
Oh, Mark. Oh, Smokey the Bear.
No. Smokey the Bear? No. Smokey the Bear helped us stop forest fires.
Oh. Wait, what was the question?
Oh my God. Who were some of the superstars of going outside and getting the U.S. population into outdoor and wilderness recreation?
Teddy Roosevelt.
Yes. How about earlier? That was very good. What about earlier? Do you want me to just tell you?
Yeah.
John Muir.
Oh, like Muir Woods.
Exactly.
I have no idea who he is. I just know it's the same name.
Right. And Henry David Thoreau.
Yeah.
Those were the answers I was looking for. How much consumer spending does outdoor recreation in the USA generate each year?
A lot. At least like $1,000.
That is really close. $646 billion.
That seems like a lot, but I really honestly have no comparison.
It is a lot. Can you get extra points for figuring out how many direct jobs there are relating to outdoor recreation in the U.S.?
It's unlikely.
6.1 million jobs.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
For
huge.
playing outside. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Pretty important business sector.
Yeah, totally right. If you want to sponsor us, REI, you have our number.
We're willing to sell out. Can I have the history of when people have started going outside?
Okay, so in March 1st, 1872, Yellowstone National Park was set up. So Congress established the Yellowstone National Park in the territories of, do you know what states? Or do you know what territories at that point? Because they weren't states.
Ooh,
Montana and Wyoming.
Oh.
In 1880, John Muir goes outside. He climbs the mountains and
goes
gets their good
outside.
tidings. No, I'm sure he was going outside well before then as well, but he became an evangelist, if you will, for going outside and experiencing nature.
Is this not something that people really did in a
Right.
recreational way?
Yeah, there was an animosity between people and the outside world for a long time. Going outside was tough. People considered it outside world as an adversary. Right? So Muir goes outside, goes into the mountains and experiences nature and comes back and talks about how wonderful it is. A nice quote from him was, "Nature's peace will flow into you as sunshine flows into trees." And that was the message that he was giving people, to encourage people to have a non-adversarial, have a friendly relationship with the outside world.
So, like, instead of conquering nature, it's go out
Right.
and enjoy it.
Exactly right. 1886, Kurt Hahn was born. Have you ever heard of Kurt Hahn?
No.
He was extremely influential for a couple reasons. The first being that he taught the British military personnel, the British Navy military personnel, to survive when their boats were attacked during World War II. Really taught them survival training. Saved thousands and thousands and thousands of lives. Very influential, and his teachings spread across the world in that sense. He also was involved with Outward Bound and started up that program.
Oh, cool. You did Outward Bound, right?
No, I don't think so. No, I think that was just a 2-week camping trip with a bunch of 17-year-olds attached to a summer camp you went to. 1892, Muir founded the Sierra Club.
Oh, cool.
Oh, 1938, REI is founded.
Whoa, seriously?
Did you know it was that old?
No.
Right. Lloyd and Mary Anderson founded it in
No,
Seattle.
Lloyd?
Yeah,
Really?
Lloyd and Mary.
Huh.
I know, right?
Who knew?
June 16th, 1962, Outward Bound holds its first class in Colorado. What I liked about this was the description of what the classes entailed. So the courses consisted of distance runs, swimming in icy streams and lakes, ascents of mountains, long backpack trips. Students learned skills in first aid, map and compass, rock and snow climbing techniques, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, what do you think goes on in the class? A sense of mountains.
No, like ascents, like going up.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm so glad I asked. I was really confused. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot more sense.
But it was great. It was all based on Hahn's teaching and giving people the survival skills that the military acquired, giving individual just everyday citizens the experience of being able to live and be at one in the outdoors. That was really cool.
Yeah.
1989, I want to talk about public art installations.
Oh, okay.
Great reason to go outside is to see public art.
Oh, so that's just started in like the late 80s?
Well, no, it's been around since about the 30s, but between 30s and 1970, public art was really for the purpose of propaganda. And that's not just in the U.S., but all... Shut up. What? It's true. I have the reference. You can look it up.
Okay. I
Why
believe you.
was that funny?
The idea of let's make this beautiful thing, but the
Well,
whole
here,
purpose... I
a
want
statue,
something-
a statue of Lenin.
Okay, yeah, that's propaganda. All right.
Right. Public art, where the government would pay an artist to make some kind of art installation, was to achieve some sort of societal, governmental messaging.
Rather than let's put this out there because it'll be a beautiful thing that will help spur creativity and conversation.
Right. Or even a crappy looking thing that'll spur creativity and conversation.
Okay.
You know, 1970s, that all changed. And from then on, what you said about the creativity and conversation, that really came to fruition. So now we see things, wonderful things like 1989, the Fremont Troll was built. And I have a link to that in the references.
Yeah, if you're not from the Pacific Northwest,
Yeah.
you totally have to look at a picture of this. It's
You
pretty-
got to go check it out. Have you seen it?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Have you climbed all over it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So you're missing out.
Don't judge me.
May 3rd, 2000, the very first geocache goes into operation.
No.
Super excited about
I'm
that.
sorry, that's not true.
What do you mean that's not true?
Geocaching's been around a lot longer than that.
No, it hasn't.
Yeah, it has.
So, May 2nd, 2000, at approximately midnight Eastern Savings Time, the Great Blue Switch controlling selective availability was pressed. 24 satellites around the globe processed their new orders, and instantly the accuracy of GPS technology improved tenfold.
Okay, actually, you're totally right. I'm sorry. I was mixing up geocaching with something else.
What are you thinking of?
I was thinking of that thing where you do runs and you chase people and they're like hares.
What?
You know that thing?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It started in the 1940s, and they do it across the entire world, and it's kind of like geocaching in that it's one of those things that people do all over the place, and like you would never know about it unless you knew about it. But it's like a running club. Wherever you go in the world, these clubs exist, and one person lays a secret path, and then everyone else is a hare. Or no, that person's the hare, and everyone else is a hound who chases that person.
Wow, that's amazing. Never heard of it.
And there's lots of drinking.
And, well, the thing I like about geocaches compared to what you just talked about was that it's more walking around, not as much running. And there's no, like, aggressive...
I will remember what that's called. If you remember what that's called, please.
I have no clue. I don't have any memory.
I was talking to our listeners.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know you have no clue.
Okay, and
established.
The last thing that I have to talk about is July 14th, 2014. Ingress launches and nerds go out for the first time.
Wait, what? What's Ingress?
Oh my gosh, it's the most awesome thing ever. So it's an augmented reality, massively multiplayer online role-playing game, location-based game owned by Google, and you can get it on your Apple iPhone or your Android or maybe Windows thing. I don't quite know. I have it on my Android. And what's awesome about it is Google uses it to crowdsource the describing of exterior or outside public works of art and human ingenuity.
What does that mean in English?
So what it means is the main areas of the game where you have to go and take actions, and I can tell you about that some other time, are places that people like me have described, taken a picture of, and sent into Google for adding to the giant database. So people have tagged things like the Fremont Troll or millions of other things.
So I've done that just like on Google Maps in general.
Right. So what it does is it gets you outside, and the object of the game is to go and take over these so-called portals that aliens have put all over the place. And these portals are, you navigate to these portals by walking around or whatever. And then once you're at one of the portals, you hack them to get their power and destroy them and take them over and make them your own. And in the process, you actually see a picture of it. You read the description of it. You're there in person. So you get taken to the actual place and have a visceral response to whatever it is. So I do this around my neighborhood all the time where I work, and I see all kinds of things in the neighborhood that I would never have noticed.
Okay, wait. So just to clarify, so you are actually walking around, or is this all happening
you are
from
actually
your desk?
No, you actually have to walk around to play, and you get more points and you level up by the amount of kilometers that you track.
Oh, that's so cool.
Julie, you want to tell me about some sciencey stuff of going outside?
Yes, sciencey stuff. First of all, going outside just basically makes us feel good. I did find many references, of course, as always, cited in APA style in the show notes. This is kind of a no-brainer. But here's a few research studies. One, dementia patients who go outside actually fare better in terms of their agitation and depression. So they're just kind of like less agitated, less like twittery, and they're less depressed if they get to go outside. Elderly folks are more likely to recover from disabilities and injuries if they go outdoors. So I'm not saying that they will be returned young, but we do know that the elderly are more likely to have bone fractures and things like that. And that recovery process seems to be promoted by going outside. So
not just the activity that they're doing, but actually being outside. Like even if they are only sitting around outside?
Exactly. Just fact of being outside. It's pretty cool.
Does the weather have to be nice?
I don't know about that.
Okay.
I sure hope not, considering where we live.
Right.
But even just for the general population, going outside prevents inactivity, of course, because it's easier to, be walking around. And also, in general, non-communicable disease. So meaning that by being outside and by being generally healthier, we are able to prevent more disease. Going outside, just the sun hitting us results in more vitamin D absorption.
Why do we need vitamin D?
It helps us absorb calcium and other good things like that. It's a very essential vitamin that can only be gotten in a few ways. So 10 minutes of sunlight is pretty much all you need to really get all the vitamin D that you need in a day. Also, creativity. Now, this, I do think there's a confounding variable, but a couple of studies pointed to the fact that people who go outside more, who, for example, spend some time walking outside rather than just being inside, tend to be more creative, have more creative breakthroughs, are able to do problem solving better. For a lot of people, I think perhaps this is because when you are not using screens or when you're not being entertained or looking at a book or something else, you're kind of stuck alone with your thoughts and you're more likely to focus your cognition, what you're thinking on problem solving. So I think that might be a bit of a confounding variable, or it's just possible that the act of being outside looking at different things than the walls of your office or your home gives you new and fresh ideas.
Yeah, I could totally see that. Just when I want a break at work or whatever, going outside. Yeah, everyone always says, I'm going outside to clear my head, that whole thing.
I mean, none of this stuff is too surprising. Some studies show that going outside tends to help folks with ADHD or attention deficit, helps us focus our attention a little bit more on later tasks.
Well, that's really funny because when my kids are going crazy in the house, we kick them outside for a while.
Yeah.
And they burn through the energy and then they can come back inside and be human beings again.
When I do cognitive testing on kids, I sometimes will have them run some laps up and down hallways between tests.
Really cool.
But it'd be much better if I could do that outside. Okay, so here's one that I had heard about these studies just in passing on NPR broadcasts and things like that, but I'd never actually gone and found the originals and read the studies. And when I read them, they were kind of really sad. So are you aware that kids are showing more myopia these days? Myopia? Younger and younger children are needing glasses. Is that something you're familiar with?
No, I had no idea.
So it's become especially obvious in cities like Beijing and in countries like China where there's specific areas that children aren't allowed to go outside very much because of the air pollution. What's happened is there's really compelling evidence, and a lot of it, that children who are not outside as much tend to be more myopic and need glasses sooner. Let me just repeat that. If our kids don't go outside and play, they're more likely to need glasses earlier on. And the reason I have this pathetic sound in my voice is because my youngest wears glasses, and now I'm like, oh no, I didn't make her go outside enough.
Oh, come on now.
It's all the mom's
That's
fault.
not causality.
No, it's not. Well, no.
I mean, not in her case.
Okay, maybe not. There's just something that happens when we're outside, the way our visual field is, that changes the way our eyes function. So that's all the good stuff about going outside, but it's not all great.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Have you heard this before? 3 myopic rodents, observe how they perambulate, They all circumnavigated the agriculturalist's spouse. She excised their extremities with a carving utensil. Did you ever regard such an occurrence in your existence as 3 myopic rodents?
How did you memorize that whole thing?
I didn't memorize it. Kendra knows that. And I just looked it up online while we're sitting here.
Oh my gosh.
Since we were talking about myopia.
Amazing. I'm so glad you were able to connect with the topic and that you were really paying attention.
I connected to that. I am connected.
Thank you. You're welcome. It's not all good though. There's kind of the flip side to the coin too. For example, vitamin D is very good for us, but too much sun gives us skin cancer. Yeah, we want to make our kids go outside and play, but the pollution and air quality can make that prohibitive. For example, there's a Spanish study of women just in their final trimester of pregnancy when they had neonates, that means newborn babies, early exposure, even just 2 hours of exposure to air pollution increased their likelihood of getting respiratory tract infections for the infants.
Whoa.
So that's just stinky. Imagine just taking your infant out for a couple of hours and you live in a polluted area. What are you going to do? Just stay inside with your baby all day? Oh, I think not. Also, some people just live in physically unsafe neighborhoods where you can't just say, oh, let's all go on an after dinner stroll in the twilight.
Right, sure.
So, yes, going outside, probably good. But it's not always fantastic. That said, I'm really nervous about the next couple of weeks. Can we talk about our challenge?
Let's just bring it back to what we have decided to do.
Okay, well, what we've discussed so far is we're going to walk outside to get to our vehicles and transportation, and we're going to try to limit the amount of time. We're not going to leisurely circumnavigate our homes in order to get to our vehicles. We'll go outside as much as we need to for work and shopping and things, but we're not going to loiter outside. But I still have lots of questions. What about looking outside?
We can look.
Some of the good stuff we mentioned, you could still get those effects by just gazing out a window.
That doesn't make a lot of sense because you could always look at a big flat screen TV of outside and have the same impact.
That was my next question. Can we look at a big flat screen TV of outside? I mean, what about like pictures of the outdoors on our computer monitors?
Oh my gosh. So I thought this going outside thing would be mainly for the vitamin D and for getting some exercise and fresh air. The visualization of the outside to me isn't as concerning, but I mean, you didn't actually talk about any research about just visualizing the outside.
Fair enough. I don't want to cut that out either, so
okay.
Stick with that. Okay,
because I'm probably going to have my face pressed to the glass at the office. And that'll be a good data point to report on later.
So then I guess with respect to that, I'm still planning on using my full spectrum light.
What is that?
A light that kind of mimics daylight a little bit to help reduce symptoms of depression. It's pretty useful on cloudy days.
Like seasonal affective disorder light kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. I would suggest you do that. One of our rules for the podcast, Julie, was that we're not going to do anything that negatively impacts our health.
Right. Well, what about...
Except for the experimental drug testing portion.
Our very first episode, I think, negatively impact our health. That's okay. What about having windows open?
You mean like driving in the car with the window open? The house? At the house, got to have the windows open. But in the car?
I think we should not have windows open in the car.
Yes, I think we should not have windows open in the car either.
Okay, so the one time that I'm probably going to cheat is if I just need to take the kids out and Jason's not available. He said that for the next 2 weeks he will do all the outdoor playtime with the kids, and that's pretty generous of him. But if my kids need to go to the park, I'm going to take them if Jason's not available.
Okay. In all seriousness, wear long sleeves, long pants, and a big hat.
Why? Oh, because of the vitamin D. Okay. Yeah, I can do that.
Right. And also just so that it's not fun for you. No, I'm serious, because that's one thing about going outside is having fun, and that could last you. I mean, the endorphin rush that you get from actually playing.
No, for sure.
You have to try to commit to, yes, taking your kids there, but not interacting with them as much as humanly possible. I know that's not possible all the way, but...
We're going to take a quick break, actually a 2-week break, while you listen to the Pleasure Kills and some interviews. And then when we come back, we'll fill you in on our success if we're still alive.
I like it when it's like raining out and I can just curl up by the fire with a book or do like a Netflix binge. It's probably more realistic. I was lying about the book.
I like to watch cloud formations. I like to watch airplanes flying overhead and helicopters, which we have in our area. I like to run in the grass, play tag with the grandkids.
Would I prefer to be inside or outside? I like to be outside with my dogs and my chickens, and I just like to run around the yard with them and have them follow me around. It's so stinking cute.
Hi, Kendra. What are you doing with the kids today?
I am taking them on a walk. It is a beautiful sunny day. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's probably one of the last sunny days we'll have in this rainy Pacific Northwest winter. And I am very excited, and we're going to go geocaching.
Thank you, Gina, Mort, Kaylee, and Kendra.
Well, hey, Julie, welcome back.
Hey, Mark.
How's your tan?
I am Snow White as always, especially so these last couple of weeks.
Oh, that's really sad. Yeah, I mean, the weather has been absolutely beautiful for the last few days, and that has stunk.
Yeah.
For us, not for everybody else, of course. I'm glad, all of you folks out there are having a good time frolicking and making hay outside, if that's a thing that people do still.
It sounds like a farm thing. Yeah, sure.
Okay, good.
So, Marky, yeah, I pretty much hated our podcast for the last 2 weeks.
Oh, what?
This was so bad. I hated it.
All right, so tell me, what happened? This sounds awful.
It was really rough. Well, it started out like really ridiculously rough. I remember at one point you were like, this is kind of annoying, but it's not that bad.
Right.
And I was like, what? Are you not doing the same stupid thing I'm doing?
Well, let's just start there. Let's just talk about I'll just tell you what I did. Okay. So I did what we talked about, where we just go from our house to our car, from our car to our office, and as quickly and efficiently as possible. Right. There were 3 times when I actually had to go outside for extended periods for various meetings. And one was the whole blah-de-blah moon only showing up for like once every 33 years thing that happened last night. Oh, and like every once in a while I had to walk from my office to another office. So other than that, I did not go outside at all. And if I did go outside, those times when I would go from the car to my office, I would wear my raincoat with my hood pulled up, my sunglasses on, and earbuds in, playing something, and my hands in my pocket, looking down at the sidewalk. So I probably looked
depressed.
Awesome is the word I'm looking
like
for here.
Like a teenager.
And so that's what I did to try to really like imagine that I was still inside, even though I was outside, kind of like a China Mieville, City in the City sort of thing.
And how did that affect you? Were you?
It stunk. I didn't like it. It was more just on the annoying scale, though, not on the debilitating scale.
So the day after we recorded our last part, I got a flat tire.
Oh.
And I was in like a pretty nice part of Olympia where I could have taken a nice long walk and walked to Starbucks. There was a Starbucks within walking distance. And instead, I stayed in the car. And it was horrible. It was
what did
nice
you do in the
and
car?
sunny. I read my book.
That's awesome. See, how often do you get a chance to read?
I like to read while I walk. I'm able to do that without falling down.
How do you read? Okay. Maybe that's something else that you need to give
I
up
do this
later.
All the time.
Okay, so you're sitting. Let me just make sure I understand this. Flat tire. You're sitting in the car. You're chilling out. You're relaxing to a good book. That sounds wonderful.
Oh my gosh, I so much would have rather been walking. And especially if I'm in a stressful situation, I've got the adrenaline built up. I'm way too high strung. I need to walk and get it out.
Okay.
I walk like
between you are kind of high strung.
I walk like miles every day.
You do? How many miles do you walk every day?
Usually at least 3 miles.
Oh. You do walk several miles every day.
I do.
Yeah.
And in part, I love to go on walks, especially at night after the kids are in bed, because it's the only time of day I'm all by myself aside from my commute.
Right.
And so not being able to do that, I didn't have that time. First of all, I wasn't exercising as much, but also I just didn't have the alone time. And so I was just in a terrible mood, plus hurting my car.
So wait, you didn't take care of the flat tire because why?
Oh, well, I mean, I took care of the flat tire. I also had damaged the underside of the car.
Wait, so you actually had to get a tow truck?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because now this is just, total side note, and you can include this in the podcast. Might be funny, but do tell.
So I was in the parking lot of Goodwill. The sun was in my eyes, and I drove right on over a curb.
Oh, God.
And good news is that the curb is just fine.
Good.
Bad news is that my car was not.
Oh.
So, it's possible that part of my bad mood just resulted from, all like the annoyance that goes into that. And so we were down to one car for the week, for that first week.
So was your car undrivable for a while? Or?
Yeah. It was being worked on, and we weren't sure if we were going to go through insurance.
What was wrong with it?
I had dented the underbelly. I'm sure there's
Who would have thunk that a Hyundai would not have a nice heavy skid plate?
Exactly. exactly. That
Right.
seems like
You
a
know,
thing.
it seems like a thing that it should come with standard.
So that wasn't so great. We're like doing the whole, how are we going to get the kids to school and both of us get to work on time kind of stressful stuff.
Right. Ugh.
The kinds of days that it would have been really nice to take a long walk during my lunch break.
Right.
But instead, I was just sitting inside with my sad peanut butter sandwich. And
Now, so could you get up and like pace back and forth? Like, how long is your trailer?
it's not long, but I do have a desk cycle. I can.
Oh, well, see, there you go.
Yes, I do that. By the second week, I was getting just like, it was not good. I was not a very happy lady. And
So you were getting stir crazy. You were not getting the exercise you usually used to or the sunshine.
Oh, totally. And the alone time. So what I did the second week was once we had 2 vehicles again, every day I went to the YMCA and I worked out for at least an hour, even if it was just reading my book on the treadmill or while walking, you know, just something to be by myself. And so that helped. But still, I had to like get up an hour early to do that. So that's kind of hard.
Right. You couldn't just go outside in the middle of the day.
Right.
Yeah.
Plus, still inside the YMCA is not as nice as being outside of the beautiful Pacific
Sure.
Northwest.
Right.
But then finally, I'm guessing it was maybe Friday night. I was just like, screw it, I'm over it. And then I went outside and took both dogs on walks. And
Wow, you were really jonesing to go outside.
my son was like, but Mommy, you can't go outside. What are you going to tell Uncle Mark? And Jason helped me justify it. He was like, you're doing a good thing for the dogs. The dogs need to go on walks. And then today I leisurely walked outside to meetings instead of hurrying.
Leisurely.
But yeah, I was surprised at how much it affected me. I thought, using my full spectrum light and just
so what about that? So
exercising
you
with the
did use your sad light.
Yeah, I did.
But you didn't find that well, of course it didn't give you alone time.
Right. This was really hard for me. I definitely had taken for granted going outside, and I think it helped me appreciate folks who do have completely indoor desk jobs or who live in polluted areas and just can't go outside or can't safely go outside.
I did not have the whole feeling of upset that you did. In fact, I'm kind of more or less a couch potato, I think, at heart. And so very first day, I just felt like it's kind of impeding my freedoms a little bit, just a little. On the second day, it just felt like a normal day. I had to walk to and from my car. I had a meeting in another office, like I talked about. And like on day 3 and 4, it was raining outside. So I was like, great, fantastic. Then I have, a total, like more than one excuse to just stay in. I really enjoy doing things like staying home all day, playing Minecraft with the kids. So
fair enough. So you were able to still meet that goal.
I was able to still meet that goal. So this particular thing for me, it really didn't impact me as much as I thought it would. Now, if it was summertime and school was out, then this would have been awful. Kendra had to take the garbage out. Kendra took the yard waste out. There were actually a couple times when Kendra took the kids on walks and geocaches and these things that I really love to do, and I didn't get to do them. So it was disappointing.
Then you had alone time.
Right.
You lucky.
So it was like a win-win for everybody.
Except for Kendra.
So thank you, Kendra.
Okay, well, I think that's a wrap.
God. We talked about this. All right. It's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
Go to wagonpod.com where you can listen, view our show notes, and subscribe to the podcast.
You can connect with us on Facebook and Twitter. We're at WagonPod. Oh, and by the way, thank you to Nicole Fullerton for being our 100th Facebook liker.
You sure?
Yeah, Nicole Fullerton.
Okay, we're up to 106 now, though.
Yeah, I know, but when we hit 100, it was her. It was Nicole
very
who
good.
put us over the edge.
Very good. Okay.
She started a trend.
Right, she did. To celebrate this, I think we should offer some swag if anybody wants to wear some swag. If you go to wagonpod.com, there is a tab that I like to call the swag tab.
Oh my God. You get to say that, and I couldn't say it's a wrap.
And there you'll see a bunch of different apparel that has our logo and our tagline on the back. And you can choose to buy it or completely ignore it. But it would be great because if you bought it, you would be helping to promote us and supporting the podcast because hosting ain't free.
That's true. Another thing you can do if you want that's free, that supports us, is give us iTunes reviews. Be like the awesome Matt McWilliams and someone whose handle was
Thanks,
LMA43, which I'm guessing means laughing my tushy for 3. I don't know.
That's totally what it means.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So thank you, Matt and LMA,
Thanks,
for
Matt.
the great iTunes
Thanks,
reviews.
LMA.
Those are super helpful because it helps new listeners find us.
Yeah.
Also, thank you to the Pleasure Kills for the use of the song Modern Problems.
Pleasure Kills.
You guys rock.
Rock. And thank you to our wonderful spouses and our children for supporting us. And I know my kids are getting into passing out our Wagon Pod business cards. So maybe
Mine
if we,
too.
it's really funny. They're great at it, actually.
I like exploiting our children.
Yeah, it's really good. Next time on the Station Wagon, when I tell people that we're going to do this, they are concerned.
Concerned with like our sanity. Well,
Right,
the first question everyone asks is toilet paper.